We are.
And there we are. Dark's here. Chilling as always.
He was fucking ready to go this morning.
Yeah, he texted me.
Let's fucking go! Liberty Film!
Let's fucking go!
He said, countdown to Christmas, countdown to Live Breathe Film.
Yeah, that's what he said. Me too. We don't need no countdown to Christmas. Countdown to the next episode of Liberty Film.
Yeah. Cheers to drink.
Alright. Cool. It looks like everything is ready. That fantastic.
Multi-time zone episode.
Yeah.
First one.
First of its kind.
That's true. First one coming at you from different time. Well, yeah, no, we never did it when anyone was on vacation. So, very exciting stuff here.
Yeah. New time zone, new internet. I got that Google Fiber.
Hopefully, Texas is a little quicker than Florida's.
Oh yeah, I got.
I would hope so.
I got 1 terabyte Google Fiber internet. So.
What, work for you some Google Fiber?
What?
Did work connect you with Google Fiber, or was it
No,
already...
it was just
Because you use Google something at work, right?
Yeah, we designed Google Fiber installations in the city, but no,
It was already there.
the apartment just had it, which was nice.
Yeah, that's
Sweet.
fast as hell.
It's pretty nice.
All
It'll
right.
come in handy for streaming for sure. Be able to upload an unbelievable amount.
I hope so.
All right. Well, then, without further ado, why don't we just get into the episode? Since we got it. Well, we don't have a crazy big outline of things to go over, but just a lot of talking about a bunch of different movies that came out this month. So, let's start talking. Welcome to Liberty Film, episode 55. You're here with Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph. Thanks as always for joining us. It's been a while since our last episode, over a month. So what we're going to do today is keep things strictly about the fall box office so far, aka the month of October, and what movies and TV shows we watched over the past month since our last episode. So it includes movies like Dune, Last Night in Soho, Halloween Kills, No Time to Die, among many others. But yeah, before we get to that, let's just start with the fall box office. All right, so it's been interesting. We've had 1 month now of box office. Everyone has had a different amount of movies released, so we're not exactly on a level playing field, especially when it comes to which movies have been released and who picked those movies. We'll start, I guess, in 4th place with myself, with a whopping $8 million, thanks to the Many Saints of Newark absolutely bombing. It did not do good. Did better on HBO Max. If it wasn't on HBO Max, maybe it would have done a little bit better, probably like maybe double, maybe 16 million total. But yeah, seeing it at theaters on a Friday night in New Jersey, I was like, damn, we're going to make some money this weekend. And definitely didn't translate to the rest of the country over opening weekend or after that.
Everyone just watched on HBO.
Yeah. But I have 5 movies left to go over the next 2 months, including some big ones around Christmas time. So eventually it will hit $9 million. JP is now in 3rd place. Him and Doug have been flip-flopping over the past like 2 weeks. JP's had 3 movies so far, and his total's 147 million. He's had No Time to Die, The Last Duel, and Antlers. So Antlers
just No Time to Die.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the interesting thing. We've all had like a bomb so far, which is different from the summer. But yeah, Antlers opened this weekend, made $4 million. Surprisingly, it made similar numbers to Last Night in Soho, which I was not expecting.
See, I'm okay with that. To me, Antlers outperformed what I thought it would. Or
Yeah, no,
it
definitely.
did, because it did for me as well.
flopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think with the I don't know if I didn't see the final results today, but Antlers might have been ranking above Last Night in Soho. Doug, you can probably confirm while I'm continuing.
I still have
But,
no fucking idea what Antlers is about.
About Antlers.
Yeah,
That's all you need to know.
people like Antlers.
The Last Duel unfortunately bombed. We're going to be talking about it a bit later. But yeah, at this point, it has, I believe, $9 million or $10 million after, 3 weekends of being in theaters. So very disappointing. Hopefully Ridley Scott rebounds in the end of November with House of Gucci, which is another film that JP has on his list, along with Encanto, which is the new Disney animated movie, and Licorice Pizza, the new PTA movie. And as for No Time to Die, it's been out now for almost a month. I think it's had 4 weekends of play so far. Like Doug alluded to, it's basically the entire 147 million JP's made. I believe it's at like 132 million. Unfortunately, it's not performing up to Daniel Craig's previous movies in the series, at least not in America. Worldwide, it looks like it'll top, or I think it already might have topped. Yeah, I think it already topped Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, but it's not going to get to Spectre. Definitely not Skyfall, but it should get somewhat close to Spectre. Might end up topping F9 to be the number one film from Hollywood this year, through 11 months, which will be pretty damn impressive.
Antlers is above Last Night in Soho right now.
It is.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. It's wild.
Never would have thought of that.
No.
Damn.
Not by a ton, but it's only like 100,000 above it. But
my wife had good insight on that. That everything doing really shitty this weekend was probably because this is the first time that people were allowed to just go out for Halloween, and they're like, "Fuck going to the movies," and I'm going to
Absolutely.
Yeah, people tend to have parties and stuff like that over Halloween, but especially this year after kind of being stuck in last Halloween, finally getting a chance to go wild definitely kept people away from the theaters because nothing held well either this past weekend. Dune did a free fall. Halloween Kills didn't do that great, so it just is what it is. As for and then for No Time to Die, it doesn't look like it'll hit any of the Daniel Craig ones, but it should top all of the other ones as far as box office in North America goes. But when it comes to like adjusted for inflation, I think it'd be like a bottom 5, bottom 7 Bond movie. But it really has it has to be COVID related. Like it probably would make an additional like 15-20% if it wasn't for COVID. Because it seems like all the adult themed movies just aren't really performing. As for Doug, he is in second place with 172 million. So like I said, he leapfrogged JP this past weekend. He's had a lot come out already. 4 of his films: Halloween Kills, Dune, Ron's Gone Wrong, and The French Dispatch. He still has Eternals and Ghostbusters, which I believe were his number 1 and 2 picks in the draft. But yeah, at this point, it seems like all 4 of them have made the majority of their money. French Dispatch expanded this past weekend, didn't really make anything, made a little over $1 million, I believe. Or was it $2 million this weekend? Either way, wasn't exactly great. It'll be expanding again.
It's made 4.4 million so far.
Total, right?
Yeah, total.
Yeah, so I think it was like 1-something million last week, maybe 2 million this week. But it's expanding by another like 400 theaters next week. I wouldn't expect to see a jump, or I'd probably see a decline despite the increase in theaters. Ron's Gone Wrong that's only made like 13 million so far, something like that. Disney really didn't push it since that was a Fox animated movie, and they have all their animation divisions already at Disney. Dune, as we said, dropped a lot this weekend from being on HBO Max. We did get the announcement about Dune Part 2, so that was definitely a positive thing that at least we got that out of this entire box office situation. We'll talk more about Dune later on. And then Halloween Kills, which is your biggest grosser so far, Doug. It looks like those 2 movies will end up with around 100 million each, Halloween Kills and Dune. So not bad for your 3rd and 4th pick to be getting 100 million from each of them.
I'll be happy with 100 from each.
Yeah, without a doubt. If you get another 100 50 or whatever from Ghostbusters and 200 from Eternals. That's a really nice top 4. And then Corey, he has been in first this entire month, or all of October, on the backs of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, primarily, which has about 190 million so far, and the Addams Family. Yeah, Doug's shocked by this, and the Addams Family 2, which has about 50 million, which pretty solid for animated sequel from a studio that's not Pixar or Disney, or even DreamWorks. And then he had The Last Night in Soho, which was his number 1 pick in the draft. You could say it was number 2, though, since he had back-to-back picks with that and Venom. And like we said, Last Night in Soho straight up bombed this past weekend. I don't expect it to make 10 million total at the rate it's going, which is disappointing. And we'll talk about our thoughts about the movie later. But yeah, overall, he's got 247 million. 3 movies are in play so far, and his 3 movies left are Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, Nightmare Alley, and Sing 2. So it's got another animated movie, another horror movie, and another thriller. And then the 5 movies I have left are King Richard, West Side Story, Spider-Man No Way Home, The Matrix Resurrections, and The Kingsman. So I will be in last place at the end of November as well, by far. But yeah, any thoughts, guys, on box office and how your movies have been doing so far?
I don't like it. That's all I got
I think
to say.
it's all downhill for me from here.
Nah, I think Sing 2 is going to do pretty well. Kids fucking love Sing.
Yeah, I mean, the first one I think made like $200 million.
Yeah, first one made a decent amount.
This could as well. Oh yeah, it's an Illumination movie, and their movies do well as well. When I was speaking about animated, yeah, Resident Evil has a fan base, so it could do decent. And horror movies have been performing well pretty much all year, with the exception of this past weekend, and Malignant. So yeah, well, should be interesting to see how November goes. Doug and JP, I'd say you definitely have the more exciting Novembers.
Yeah, I'm fucked. 100% fucked.
All right, so you're convinced you're not getting in first place, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm probably be at the end by the end of this. Is really what I think, but we'll see. I'm more convinced about how Eternals is gonna do based on the shitty reviews it keeps getting. Then I care about my outcome because I think it's bleak as hell.
Yeah,
dude. Eternals now is the lowest rated one in Rotten Tomatoes in MCU history.
It looks
crazy.
So fucking pretentious.
Yeah, it definitely does. But it's interesting to see. Like, I expected the pretentiousness to like elevate the review to be like one of their usual '90s movies. But yeah, definitely not doing that. And we'll be seeing it over. Well, some of us will definitely be seeing it over the next week. So we'll talk more about Eternals. And our thoughts on it on our next episode. All right,
it'll make money. It just won't be. It may not be like a couple $100 million. It may be like $100 million.
It might be like a Black Widow, where it makes.
I mean, it's going to make way more than. I mean, I believe it was tracking for 80 million opening weekend. So if that's the case, like it's going to make 140 million at minimum. If it like completely bombs after weekend 1, I would think at minimum like. At worst case scenario for the movie would probably be like 160 million if it really just doesn't connect after opening weekend. But that's if the projections on opening weekend are correct.
Yeah.
It could have a lower, like an Ant-Man type opening, Ant-Man 1, something around like 50-something million, which if it doesn't have
that would be terrible for that movie, but yeah.
It would be, it would be absolutely terrible. And I would hope that the studios realize that it has nothing to do with like COVID at this point. It's just people not being interested in this particular MCU movie. Because we've seen them Marvel have multiple successes over this past year with Shang-Chi, Venom 2, and Black Widow even, despite being on Disney+.
For you to assume that the studios would have a rational take on anything.
So. I know, especially after everything we've seen over the past year or so. But yeah, well, let's just move then on to things that we've watched. Like we said, we've got a lot to cover from the month of October. we'll start with movies, we'll start with TV shows. There are 3 shows that we previously discussed, so we will talk about them fairly quickly, I would say, and then we'll get into the various movies that came out in October. Let's start with what we do in the shadows and our overall thoughts on season 3. I believe we last talked about it after the first couple episodes, so we gave our thoughts back when it started. But now that it is completely over with, 3 of us have watched the entire season. Let's just give what our thoughts were overall, what we are hoping from season 4, which is already in production. Corey and JP, what did you guys think overall about the entire arc? Basically, the arcs of Colin Robinson and Laszlo, their whole friendship throughout the season, and everything going on with Nandor, and how nothing seemed to be working for him, and how that affected Guillermo. And then I guess we also have Nadja and Nandor running the Vampiric Council. I would say those are probably the 3 biggest storylines of the season.
Yeah, I didn't really care so much about Nandor's story arc. Reflecting about it, I thought that was probably the least of them all. And then fucking Guillermo, like, no one gives a shit about Gizmo. It was a wild ride this season. Just thinking about where we started to where we're ending, and they did a lot, like a ton of world building, and they added new characters. Like I love the Sire. Like the Sire's hilarious. They brought back the Baron, which was great.
The Baron returning was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the
Their
dog,
Nutley, right, or something.
Yeah,
and then the Hellhound. I love the Hellhound,
aka Golden Retriever.
That breathes fire, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The ending was crazy. We had caught up. I think we watched 2 episodes back to back, and it was up to the episode right before the finale. And with all that stuff with Colin Robinson,
did anyone see it coming?
No fucking clue.
No. Did you guys notice, like, did you think it was odd, like, Laszlo and Colin, like, their, like, budding friendship throughout the season?
Very.
Yeah,
it was
very
weird.
It was a great
But
payoff.
Yeah, like, I know a lot of people online were like, what the hell's going on, like, with them hanging out? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, my thinking was just like, oh, well, the other 2 are distracted with their vampiric duties, so he has no choice but to hang out with Colin. Yeah. But, yeah, the payoff was pretty damn solid.
Yeah. So he knew the entire time. Like,
yeah, he knew once he ripped out that page of the book, like, at the very beginning of the season.
Yep.
That, energy vampires only live for 100 years.
But do they?
They sort of, I don't know, what are they? I guess they're like, they shed their skin like a fucking snake, apparently.
Yeah.
And now that's what it seems to be, and he will eventually grow up to be Colin Robinson again. I don't know if he will have any of the memories that he had previously, or just going to be a similar version, similar to like Baby Groot, where it's like not exactly the same person, but it will definitely look the same and things like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll be interesting to see. They I liked how the world building was really good, and like they didn't tread on really like the same jokes as in past seasons. You know, they really tried to explore a lot more of the characters and just like different things. There were some, you know, jokes that kind of came back, but for the most part, they're expanding the universe, which is cool. It was definitely fresh, and I think I might have liked it more than season 2 as a whole. I was very surprised with how much I enjoyed it. There was like maybe one episode that I didn't really care for.
Yeah, I'd say it was close to season 2. I don't know if I would say it was as good or better, but it had a couple episodes that were a little less funny than usual.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was still one of the funniest shows on television. I can't wait for season 4 to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be weird. It's gonna be a really weird season.
Yeah, I mean, we know they're gonna be reunited like within a few episodes. At max. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have Nandor off by himself. He thought Guillermo was gonna be with him. and we got Naja and Guillermo together over in England. Naja thought she'd be with Laszlo, and then we've got Laszlo back in Staten Island at home with baby
Colin Robinson.
The weirdest looking creature in the world.
Oh, God.
And
so
and then wherever Kristen Schaal is, because she was on every episode this season, so I have to imagine she becomes a regular soon.
Yeah,
and hopefully we get more Donald Logue. I hope he comes back.
Donald Logue was hilarious.
Bringing him onto the show is great. Anytime they make like real life people vampires, it's always a blast.
We need Stephen Dwarf then. They've done Blade, so they've gotten Wesley Snipes.
They've got two guys from it already.
We need Stephen Dwarf to be it. Just come on.
Yeah, get Stephen Dwarf or Chris Christopherson.
Oh my God.
If like you can pull that up off, that would be pretty damn amazing.
You can even get what's his face from the sequel. The guy from Walking Dead, who's the only character on Walking Dead.
Oh, Norman Reedus.
Yeah, Norman Reedus, because he's.
Oh yes, yeah. He was in it. Or you can bring in anyone. You can bring in Triple H and Ryan Reynolds from Blade Trinity.
Yeah, hopefully not, but.
Yeah, his story when he was talking about filming Blade, and he was like, "Yeah, I wasn't a vampire then. I just really liked it. I got into it." So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really funny. I love the little celebrity cameos they have that pop up, especially that.
They didn't have many either this season.
Like they had David Cross playing himself, or not playing himself. Yeah, they had a few people playing actual characters. Yeah, I guess Donald Logue was the only one that was himself. And then they had in AC, they had the lounge version, like the lounge singers of like the Rat Pack, who now thought were like the real ones that she knew from back in the day. That was probably my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah, that was really good. And then like right at the end, he goes and he puts all the money on Red or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's selling pillows. Then like 2 episodes later, that was funny.
That was very good stuff.
It was that was a great episode. I thought overall it was just a really good season. The beginning with Guillermo locked up is hilarious, and him sneaking out. And
yeah. And then by the end of the season, Nandor's the one in the cage. It's like a reverse situation.
Yeah, that was a creepy episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the cult one?
Yeah.
Yeah. The cult episode was very weird. Fucking singing bare naked ladies and everything.
Nandor looked very normal.
Yeah.
It was very strange because it's strange.
Them ripping out the teeth was so awful though.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. That's truly horrific.
It's so funny when everyone except for Matt Berry, like Nadia and Laszlo, would look so different in normal clothes, and Matt Berry just fucking looks like himself because that's probably how Matt Berry dresses on a daily occasion. He's a very Shakespearean man, but it's just so funny seeing them. I guess it's they don't really know the actors and the actress. Just seeing them in plain street clothes is.
Yeah, I've only seen them in like things since, and it was like small roles.
Yeah.
But it took like when I saw Cruella, it took me a while, and I'm like, oh shit, Nandor. And when I saw Eurovision, the first time I saw it, I didn't even realize Naja was in it until like after watching it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
That's funny.
But yeah, and then Matt Berry. I mean, even if he didn't look like him, his voice is so like distinct.
Yeah, that's just what Matt Berry looks like.
Yeah,
like everything I've seen him in, he's just that guy.
And then one other moment I really liked on the show, even though it was like the blatantest product placement, was when they went to Best Buy. That was just so goddamn funny.
Yeah, it really
was.
And he got
I will not pay for any of this.
I will not sign for this. Wait, is that for the Geek Squad? Okay, I will put my name down. Yeah, that one just killed me.
Yeah, that was really funny. The siren was also hilarious too.
Yeah, creepy looking, but
very off-putting. But, yeah, that was really funny. So many good.
Like moments. You said, very happy that the Baron came back.
Yeah, and he's only half of a Baron.
Yeah.
That was really good. And him and the sire hanging out together. He's teaching him English, and he's saying hello at the end of the episode. I hope they bring the sire back next.
I'm sure
next season because he was pretty funny. And they're all just living in that house together as an Airbnb and eating people.
Just eating people that come by.
All
right.
Yeah, Shadows is good.
And they're filming the 4th season already, right?
Yeah, it's already been in production, so hopefully we don't even have to wait a full year from when it premiered in August. Hopefully it's more like a late spring, similar to season 2.
That's great.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on then to, well, if Doug comes back, we can talk about What If. If he doesn't, we can just talk about Ted Lasso until he gets back.
Hey,
and he's back.
Perfect timing.
He's got the headphones.
I can hear you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got them AirPods.
He's got them buds in.
All
right. So then let's talk about What If. Season 1, the second half of it. Did we think it was better than the first half? Or are we going to watch season 2? Doug, you can go first, since it was just you and myself who watched this one.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I was thinking about that like South Park episode where they're like, you could vote, like your 2 options for president is like a turd sandwich, or forgot what the other option was, but it was like equally as shitty.
Yeah, giant douche and a turd sandwich.
Giant douche and turd sandwich, and that's kind of like the first and second half of What If. I mean, there was, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard for me to say it was better because there was still like a lot of shit episodes in there. The penultimate episode, I thought, was like one of the more entertaining episodes because there were some stakes with I don't even remember. Ultron, yeah, Ultron just like fucking straight up murdering everybody, including Thanos.
Was that James Spader? Did he return?
No, they got that guy that like does all the voices.
Who does Red Skull?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Walking Dead. Yeah.
James
Yeah,
Spader.
they just have him do like everybody's voices. He did a pretty.
He did a good one. Like
Yeah, you could. If you listen closely, you could tell it's not Spader, but it was like close enough. Way better than the guy that does Robert Downey Jr.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it just like wasn't good. What the second half was like Party Thor, where it's just like Thor's goes to Vegas and just like parties the whole time.
Yeah, that was really dumb.
Loki wasn't his brother, and so without Loki as his brother, he just liked the party.
Capitalize on this whole idea because in the comics there's so many fun things that they do, and they kind of, I mean, I don't know, I didn't watch it, but it seemed like they explored a bit of it, but it just wasn't executed well at all.
Yeah, I don't think I would put fun in the same sentence as the show. It's like there were some like interesting ideas. But yeah, I mean, you could probably tell I'm not going to be watching. I may watch this next season, but like it'll be because I have 30 minutes to kill and I need to put something on the TV. So I'm not going to like go out of my way to watch this show.
How was Zombies? They did an episode of that, right?
Yeah, it was. Zombies was interesting because they all had their powers still. So they were like zombie, but like could do all the shit that they could do before, and like had all their abilities. So like Captain America as a zombie could like use the shield. They had Scarlet Witch had like full control over her powers. So that was kind of neat because they were like way more threatening. But I don't know. I expected to like zombies more than I did. I think it was good, but it should have been like amazing.
Yeah. I will be opting out as well. I will definitely be opting out. I'm not giving it a second chance for season 2. I gave it 9 chances this season, and ultimately not one of them was one where I was like, I need to continue watching this show. I agree with you. Like the last 2 were probably some of the better stuff they did because it really tied the whole the last episode really tied everything together, and even the penultimate episode had a lot to do with like Jeffrey Wright's character, who's been like narrating throughout the entire show, and Ultron was presented better than he was in the entire Age of Ultron movie on this TV show, which I thought was a highlight. But yeah, as an anthology show, it was too much of a hit or miss for me. And it's just the hits weren't high enough and the misses were way too low. Where I was like, why am I wasting my time? I don't need to watch everything in the MCU. I can read a recap if necessary. Or if I need to watch one episode, I can watch one episode, but there's no reason to just watch it because I watch everything else in the MCU. So it's been removed from my Disney Plus watch list, and I wish it the best of luck. Hopefully it gets better, but it's a missed opportunity, and I think they're just they're trying a little too much. Maybe they need to step back a little bit and I don't know.
So I
think
heard,
about what they're doing and how to improve on it before just start rushing into season 2.
I heard like the episodes got cut and that there was like some rushing going on with the show. I think we talked about how the final episode introduces a character that you've never been introduced to before. Because like the last episode, they bring all the different multiverse Avengers together to like come together as like a multiverse Avengers team, and we get a Gamora that like we never had seen before, and it was because it was supposed to be 10 episodes.
Yeah, you had mentioned that.
Yeah, and they cut that episode because they didn't have time to. And I had read that they cut more than just these episodes were meant to be longer than 30 minutes, and that they kind of cut these down just to like put out a product because of COVID.
Interesting.
So I wonder if like it suffered a little bit from that too.
What's really bad is I don't even have like any memory of Gamora being in that season finale. Shows how engaged I was with it.
She had like the Gauntlet Destroyer.
Oh,
she was like hanging out with,
got it. Yeah.
She was like hanging out with Iron Man, and it was like
for some reason I just assumed she was in that one Guardians episode earlier in the season.
No, we like never saw her, and she had this like special tool that she used, and it was like, where did she come from? Like, what's going on? Why are they introducing her all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And then you read like, yeah, they cut.
And then I
have time to finish it.
I was telling you that if Chadwick Boseman didn't pass away, they were planning on doing a spin-off for his Star-Lord Black Panther character, who was on like 4 episodes of the show. Like, you don't need to make spin-offs for every goddamn thing in the world. Similar to Doug, I mentioned this to you, like how we've been hearing about an Agatha Harkness like spin-off. Yeah. You don't need to spin off every goddamn thing. Like, it's getting ridiculous. Nope. There doesn't need to be 17 or 20 television shows and all these upcoming movies. Like, do what's like important and just have these other characters step in and out of other like movies and TV shows. They don't need their own one every single time.
That's how we get really, really terrible shows.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they need to just like, I get that they have IP and they want to mine that IP as much as possible, but yeah, they probably need to like give us some new content.
Yeah, otherwise like people will get burned out if they do too much, or if people start getting regularly disappointed in lackluster product, they'll tune out as well. So like, don't be stupid. Don't get greedy. I know it's hard not to be greedy when you're a business, but I don't know. If you want to be in this for the long haul, like as successful as you've been for the past decade, be smart. All right. Anything else about What If, or you want to go into Ted Lasso?
No, I don't have anything else to add. I think you gave Kevin Feige all the tips he needs to hear.
Yeah, like I'm fucking worthy of giving Kevin Feige a tip, but maybe he should just like think about it. But all right, Ted Lasso, aka one of the biggest Halloween costumes of this year. Since we're recording this the day after Halloween, and I saw a lot of fucking people do it. I saw Mitt Romney do it. I saw the entire ESPN NFL Countdown crew do it. I'm sure there were plenty of others.
I saw a guy getting coffee at 11 o'clock in the morning do it, and it took me a second. I said, does he always look like this? Or is he Ted Lasso? Turns out he's Ted Lasso.
There you go. But yeah, it's been a while since we talked about it last. It's been a while since the season finale. But let's just talk quickly about, since we talked about the previous 10 episodes, let's talk about the final 2 episodes of the season. JP hasn't yet to catch the season finale. So before we mention anything specific to the finale, let's just let him know so he doesn't get spoiled on the last 45 minutes of the season. So I guess simplest question would be asked: did you think season 2 wrapped up in a cohesive manner where all the storylines that they did throughout the season wrapped up nicely, or did you think anything was forced?
I don't know about wrapping up, but I thought a lot was forced this season. About like
what was in the last episode you watched, JP? That was the one where Jamie apologizes to Roy for telling Keely like he loved her and stuff like that, right?
Dude, I may have not actually watched that.
I believe that was the second to last one.
Maybe.
And
no, the last one I watched was the one where she got the shoot for Vanity Fair. So I might have not actually seen the last 2. Where they're doing like the what's it like to live with a footballer spread,
and that's one where Nate
kisses her,
Keely.
and then Roy is like thinking about banging the teacher.
Yeah, I guess that was the second to last episode. So the Roy Jamie stuff, I guess, is like the beginning of the finale.
Probably.
I'm like looking about like that second to last episode now. Like what did happen at this point?
Like I was saying, I don't remember a ton about it. I just remember I fucking hated it, and that's probably why we haven't watched the finale, because it was just like we really didn't like the episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then it deals with Sam potentially leaving. That was like a big part.
Yeah, with like the guy from Ghana who's super rich, and he comes over, and everyone's actors everywhere. And...
Yep.
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah, it was just shitty jokes.
Yeah, so that second to last episode really is just setting up the finale.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about the finale, JP, if you want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll be right back.
Cool. Guys, what did you ultimately think about when it came to the finale in regard? I mean, Nate's the biggest plot line. We've got the Sam and Rebecca stuff, whether he's going to leave the team. We've got, well, I guess that's when they had the game to go back into, to get promoted to the opposite league, to Premier League. What did you think about all that kind of stuff?
I mean, it's hard for me because I watched everything kind of all at once.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, it definitely, the show definitely changed and morphed into something a little bit more serious. I did end up really liking it. But at the end, I'm not entirely sure I'm like happy with the direction of where the show's going. I guess only time will tell. I never liked Nate to begin with, but I hate how he's
That's true.
He's turned into like, this sociopath, I guess. He's just like such a villain, such an angry character. But I'm hoping that like there's some payoff there for, his arc, I guess, or his, change in character or lack thereof.
Yeah, I'm one who thinks the payoffs already happened with Nate, and I don't necessarily want to see him redeemed. I think
not necessarily redeemed. I guess more so like now he'll be used as like just a terrible person, like a villain in that way. I hope he does not get redeemed. No.
You guys don't think he gets redeemed?
I hope not.
I don't want him to. I don't necessarily think it needs to happen.
It feels like to me we're at episode 3 Star Wars. Like Nate's become Darth Vader. But now he's got to get like redeemed at some point.
Yeah. I mean, it's the obvious way to go, and that's kind of why I'm hoping they don't do the obvious. I mean, some people like they get power and they're just a dickhead. Like, I kind of want them to just go that route.
I really did like, and I didn't think I was going to, but I really did end up liking like the chemistry between Sam and Rebecca. Like, I thought they were really good together, and the stuff that they acted in together, like their scenes were great. So I'm excited to see more of that. It just didn't the finale didn't seem like it really ended on like such a high note, even if it was like a dramatic high note. Like it just kind of just ended. It's like, okay, next season is coming. Like I wasn't like, fiending for more by the end. I definitely want more, but it didn't leave me like, oh my god, I want more. So, the first season I definitely like this season finale a lot more.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I thought, relationship wise, I liked Ted and the psychiatrist. I thought it was like a relationship. I liked their like
they were fantastic.
dynamic, and then you got like a deeper
I'm hoping
dive.
she comes back to the show, because those two together did some fantastic work, in the second half of the season, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a shout out really to Jason Sudeikis. Like he, especially for me, I didn't really care for Ted in like almost the first like the first half of the first season.
You didn't really like him until kind of like season 2, I feel like.
It was definitely about halfway or maybe 3/4 of the way through season 1 where I started liking him more and more, but as his character developed in season 2, and I mean Jason Sudeikis is like the acting that he does in that show in season 2 is fantastic. So I ended up really really liking him a lot more. He grew a lot more as a character in season 2, probably the most out of anyone, I think.
And then I was reading that originally they had a 3-season like plan for the show, with the arcs all set up, for how things were going to go. They're still planning on sticking with their original season 3 plans. Then I guess coming up with new ideas after that. So I feel like based on season 1 and 2, we should be confident that they know what they're doing for season 3. It's when season 4 comes about that things might start to get wobbly with the show, and it'll show that it's been past its time. So I'll be really interested to see what we think when it gets to that point in the show's run.
Definitely.
But I did like what they did with season 2. I preferred that they made things more dramatic, especially everyone's issues being like internal issues, not so much forced problems between different people. Like anyone who had drama, it was mostly because of things going on like in their head, which I thought was not something you see often on a sitcom. So shout out to the writing team for coming up with that. And then last question for Ted Lasso: who would you say was the MVP of the season?
I think I'm gonna say Sam. Probably.
Okay.
I guess the first one that came to mind was Sudeikis. I just thought Sudeikis he had like a much better chance to shine, as we talked about this last season. Kind of show some dramatic chops that we didn't really that he could pull off. So I'd probably say like Sudeikis had like a lot of the more memorable scenes for me. His like panic attack issues and his like opening up to the psychiatrist.
Cool. And then it's interesting. We got 3 different picks. For season 1, I would definitely go with Sudeikis. And it's close for season 2 between Sudeikis and who I'm going with, which is Brett Goldstein as Roy Kent. I just thought he was the pound for pound like funniest person on the show during season 2, and especially when like things were going a little slower in the first half of the season before it started getting more dramatic. He was really just carrying it with the laughs that he was getting in each of his scenes. But it was a lot closer by the end between him and Sudeikis, just because Jason crushed it in the back half of season 2 with the dramatic stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
then-
I don't really think there was like a weak link
Yeah,
at all.
agreed.
Strong cast.
Yeah, and I think Sam, you could probably throw him as like most improved player, something like that, from myself at least, because he got a lot more to do in season 2, and was pretty interesting himself. But all right, let's jump into the movies then. We're going to be talking about a bunch of them. We've got Many Saints of Newark, No Time to Die, Halloween Kills, Dave Chappelle, The Closer, Dune, The Last Duel, and Last Night in Soho. So, not everyone has seen all of these, so some of these conversations are going to be a lot quicker. But let's start with one. For the most part, we're going fairly in release order. Let's start with Many Saints of Newark, aka Sopranos prequel movie. Corey, you and myself are the only ones who have seen this one. We can keep it brief. Do you think it was worthy of the Sopranos name? And are you, based on how it went, are you interested in a potential sequel? If so, a movie or a television show?
Yes, definitely. I think at this point I would want a television show. Just because I feel like that they would be able to expand the characters and like let everything breathe a little bit more than just maybe another movie. Although if they were going to do multiple movies, like if they did like a trilogy or something, then I wouldn't be as opposed. I just think that a TV show would be better.
Yeah. I did say to you previously I'd want to see like some more movies versus a TV show. Now I'm kind of thinking maybe if they did like I don't know, like a limited series TV show where it's like, all right, we're only going to do 2 seasons. That's it, like 8 episodes per season. And that's your way of doing essentially 2 more movies, but just longer, so it has more time to breathe. Because that really was the problem with Many Saints of Newark, was the fact that the story didn't have enough time to breathe. There was just, they were doing too much. Especially, I mean, it was only 2 hours. Like, it easily could have been a 3-hour movie. So, like, you got to know the characters more. The movie really, in hindsight, doesn't really work if you haven't watched The Sopranos.
No.
I would say. You might get some stuff out of it, but you really want to understand, like, why are you following this kid when the movie otherwise revolves around adult characters, like in a mob? Like, it just doesn't really make sense. So if you flesh it out into a longer, like, limited series television show, something like Vice Principals, how they knew from the start this is going to be 2 seasons only, or like that latest Walking Dead spinoff where it was picked up immediately for 2 seasons. You know exactly what you're going to do, and kind of use that to do movies 2 and 3. I think that would probably be the best route.
Yeah.
And then, who did you think gave the best performances in this one, either from playing an existing character in the Sopranos universe or someone brand new?
Corey Stoll as Junior, I loved. I thought he was fantastic. I mean, everyone was very good, but he really stuck out to me. And Livia, the
Yeah,
actress,
Vera Farmiga.
Vera Farmiga, yeah, when she played Livia Soprano, Tony's mom. It was actually like almost eerie for how well she just like got all of her, like her voice, like
Or
mannerisms,
mannerisms and stuff.
like everything just down.
Yeah.
Like absolutely nailed it. So those 2 characters, I really were probably the standouts for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say Vera Farmiga was the highlight for me from an existing character, or overall, I would say. I thought Michael Gandolfini did a great job as well, playing his father, playing Tony Soprano. And then Ray Liotta also did a great job as 2 characters that did not exist on the show.
Yeah, that was
I didn't know going in that he'd be playing 2 characters, so that was a pretty big surprise for me. There were a few big surprises for me in the movie, and that was one of them.
Yeah, that was definitely an unexpected thing. I was expecting the movie to go a little bit further into the present, I guess, than it did. I wasn't expecting it to end where it did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's where some sequels would have to get it closer to present day, because I guess it's about 26 years, 27 years gap between where the Many Saints of Newark ends and where the Sopranos starts.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned that there's like a lot of Easter eggs, and there was stuff because I'm rewatching the show now. So after I finish it, I'm definitely gonna go back and watch the movie again. And I'm sure there's gonna be like a lot of things that I'm gonna pick up on that I just didn't remember.
For sure. Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. So yeah, I definitely think a show would probably be a limited series would probably be a better option at this point.
Got it. All right. Then let's talk next about the movie we've talked the most about on this podcast, which has finally been released. It is No Time to Die, the 25th entry in the James Bond franchise, the official ones, not the unlicensed non-Eon movies. Yeah, all four of us have seen this one. It had a lot to live up to. What did you all think? Were you satisfied with the way that Daniel Craig's run ended? Because it ended conclusively. Very different from any other Bond ending that we've seen so far.
I'll say.
And then, based on how the movie ended, do you think with 26 you do a complete reboot, or would you bring back the actors from the universe like Moneypenny, Q, and M? What are you guys thinking in that capacity? Not necessarily who we want to be James Bond. We've talked about that in the past.
I say burn it all down, start over, and make it set in the 60s. Go real.
Okay.
Not super high tech.
I kind of like that, actually.
That's not something we've ever talked about before, and that is a damn interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, high concept.
Yeah, don't bring anyone back. Set it back in time. Let the gadgets be a little more flimsy, I guess, and not so crazy. But yeah, set it back in the day. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, no, it does have. That's really interesting. I'm surprised I've never read anyone come up with this idea before. We've talked about like putting like a black James Bond or an Asian James Bond or all these other things, but I've never heard someone say, go with a period piece. Go back to where things started. But in doing it in the 2020s. Yeah, I like that idea a lot. And yeah, you'd have to. You wouldn't necessarily have to recast those people. They can just be a different version of the character. Yeah. But either way.
But if you're gonna do something so drastic like that, I wouldn't want any of the old pieces to be in there. I'd say just recast them.
Fair enough.
They've had their run. They've all been in there. Now just do it over, make it completely new, so you're not stuck to that old world. And then just like go ham, do something different.
Yeah. All right. Corey and Doug, it seems like you're kind of agreeing with this idea.
Yeah, I agree with it. I'm also, regardless of what they do, I just think like all those characters need to be retired. I'm kind of like with JP on that. Like that story's over. Like let's do something different. Everyone had like, I like the characters in that they were like the way that they did this run with Bond, where everything was sequential and followed a larger overall narrative. I feel like it's over. Story's done. Like, let's see something different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was never really in love with this version of M. Like after Judi Dench died, so I wouldn't necessarily be upset about that one. I did like Q and Moneypenny a lot. Yeah. But yeah, I guess yes. If you're going in the back, like doing a period type one, I think you recast. you might want to recast either way, kind of like JP said.
Yeah, if it was going to be the same, if it was going to be modern, I wouldn't want to see any of these people back. Not because they were bad in any way, but just because I want some completely different world.
It wouldn't necessarily make sense, like after like like.
It would be confusing as shit to people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's elephant in the room. He fucking dies at the end of this movie.
I was like, sorry, we gotta like say it. So,
like he
dies. Like if you're gonna have a new James Bond, like
there is no there's no cafe on the banks of the Arno drinking Fernie Branca, and he takes his hat to him. Like, he is dead.
Yeah,
he's dead.
It wouldn't necessarily make sense for Q to be like, "Hey, new James Bond," like, and the next one.
Yeah. This man's also named James Bond.
What a coincidence!
What a coincidence! Yeah,
they just ignore that he's even dead.
Yeah,
let's do another one with a different actor.
Why do you look so different?
Yeah, why so? I guess we shouldn't think about this any further. Let's send you on a deadly mission. Or he Colin Robinsons and a little tiny James Bond crawls out of his body, and that's been the mythos this whole time. Yeah, it's silly. Bringing Judi Dench over to this one from the other ones was nice. It was a nice little.
And yet, I even think that might have confused some people.
It was a little confusing, sure. But I mean, let's be honest. Did anyone watch like the last two Pierce Brosnan Bond movies? Probably not. So
they did. They like immediately blocked it from their headspace.
Yeah. So there was a huge blackout gap space between, like, I guess GoldenEye and whatever the fuck followed it, and then the other two garbage movies.
Yeah.
And then Casino Royale. Yeah.
I think you can get away with it a lot more though, too, because it was just like there was no real like overall cohesive story, and like other Bonds were popping. Yeah, other Bonds were popping in and out. Take characters them, and like it works, but
yeah, they never serialized the franchise until Daniel Craig joined it. Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna start it now. But Judi Dench, you're coming in anyway, and you're just the M in this universe.
Yeah, as
well as being in the previous ones. So yeah, that works. Were you guys satisfied with No Time to Die? What do you guys think about it? Do you like it? Not like it? What do you think they could do better?
I think it was the cream filling to the Oreo. It was very, very bland. It was in the middle. Not that Oreos are bland, but it just sat in the middle. It was Spectre, but maybe a little bit better, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think we all put it 3rd out of 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's definitely 3rd out of 5. I liked it. The ending I liked too, but I liked it more for its unexpected, how unexpected it was than anything else. But it had a lot of heart. Like, the script definitely had a ton of heart. And it tied up that story like really well in a way that we've never seen before with Bond movies. And I had to think about that. I'm like, we've never seen this happen before. I remember I said to you, I'm like, James Bond didn't die in any of the other ones, right? And it's like, no. It's like, okay. So it was definitely interesting and different, especially upon reflection. I think like all the movies will probably be maybe fit in a little bit better with each other, like upon repeat viewings. Now that it's done. Even Quantum.
It had heart to it. It also had, honestly, probably the worst villain outside of Quantum of Solace, which didn't even really have a villain, which is kind of crazy because you would think with Rami Malek and with the mask and he's all creepy, he would have been creepy. He just seemed kind of like a cardboard cutout, and he had kind of a shitty plan.
What was the, like, I've been trying to talk to Murph about, like, I was like, can someone please explain to me what the plan was this entire time? To kill some group of people that, for some reason, like, I still can't figure it out.
I'm seeing it again tomorrow night, so that's, like, going to be my mission. Figure out what exactly his plan was.
What was his purpose? Like, why did he do, like, anything he did in the movie?
Didn't he wanted to enact revenge?
Parents.
Yeah,
yes, he wanted revenge on Spectre. because they killed his parents.
They
But what
died
else-
like
who
pretty
else,
early
Yeah,
on.
he got
who
that.
else did he want to kill? Like
I-
after that scene with Ana de Armas, like what was his plan?
Yeah, maybe he went to like
Seemed like he-
McDonald's and he had some guy at the counter like sneer at him. So he's like, all right, I got this guy on the list. And then like his second uncle twice removed was kind of an asshole to him. So he just got a list of people.
Like, why'd he kidnap fucking James Bond's kid? Like, what was
Because
the
he
point
wanted
of like?
apparently he wanted the kid. It seemed like he really wanted the kid to be his own, and he loved the woman.
Yeah,
Why
Yeah,
did he
he like
love
got
the
a
woman?
crush on Madeline because he saved her life.
'cause he saved her life.
Oh
yeah.
right, because he saved her life. That was so forgetful.
I liked how that tied together with the story that she told in the last one as a child.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that. I like that
That
you
was
saw
cool.
her story.
Yeah.
And if you did not watch the movie, like Spectre and the other ones right before watching it, you wouldn't have
She
even
was in the
fucking
last
connected
movie?
it.
Probably not.
Dude,
Who the fuck is
Yeah.
this woman?
she was in like half of Spectre.
That is the most fucking forgettable movie. I thought she was completely new.
No, she's the daughter of Mr. White's
White.
daughter.
Yeah, Mr.
Holy
White.
shit!
They fucked
It doesn't.
by having Vesper in the first movie, they just fucked up the chance of having a good Bond girl the rest of the time because they nailed her so fucking much.
They
The
had
fact that
Ana
you're
de
still-
Armas.
That's true.
They just like, go away now.
Yeah.
Too much
She's like
charisma for this movie. Be gone.
Referencing Vesper, she's still like a pivotal point of the
I
goddamn
know, like
story.
the opening of the movie has to do with like the character that died 4 movies ago.
Yeah, the only memorable one.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And then Ana de Armas was clearly the second best Bond girl they did throughout
Yep.
the entire 5
Yeah.
films. And she gets
Yeah.
one huge scene. But she absolutely killed it. I mean, it was the last scene they filmed of the movie. If they had realized she was going to be that good, they would have fucking got her in more of it.
Yeah.
Come save the world with me and make this movie instantly elevated. No, I'm just gonna stay in Cuba. Go fuck yourself, guy.
Yeah, Madeline Swan is just like, yeah, it was not good.
Yeah, I just
She's
don't
just like-
buy their romance or anything like that.
No.
Yeah,
Having a kid was unnecessary. Having him die at the end was cool. Jeffrey Wright's death I thought was a really solid one.
Yes.
I was glad Felix Leiter came back.
The guy that killed him sucked.
Yeah, the guy that killed him
Yeah.
sucked.
Fucking Smiley Mormon man. He was awful.
Blofeld, I would say, was unnecessary. Like having so much to do with Spectre was probably not the greatest decision. And I mean, it goes back to Spectre. Having Spectre be the overseer of everything, including Quantum, I think that was like a miscalculation on their part of just trying to connect everything.
Yeah. They retconned Dougie. That was good.
Well, what do you mean? How they
They
retcon?
retconned him being his brother.
Well, he was always he was like his. What I mean, what
I guess
technically
he
was
an
he?
adopted brother.
He was like a ward. Yeah,
He was-
kind of like a ward of the.
yeah.
he was
His
like
Blofeld's dad took Bond in for like
a
2 years or
winters,
something.
He says
Yeah,
after his parents
and
died.
then he cuckoo.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Doug,
that sucks.
Doug, you had said to me that you thought the first hour of the movie was great, and that I would agree with you on. I think it's
Yeah,
really,
the first hour is so good, and then they're just like, "Here's this really stupid story that we're gonna shove down your throats for."
we're gonna go full Spectre for the last hour and a half. And something I also mentioned to you, Doug, that I thought was really cool was the Bond's like shootout towards the end of the movie when he's trying to close the or open up the roofs and whatnot. Reminded me a lot of GoldenEye, like the way it was shot, and I think it probably had something to do with the fact that when I'm talking about GoldenEye, I mean the video game, because the director of this movie, his introduction to James Bond was playing GoldenEye on 64. Because I mean, he's not that much older than us. So it's pretty cool seeing like these people now working on the franchise who are of the GoldenEye 007 on N64 like generation.
Yeah. That whole end layer just feels like GoldenEye level.
Yeah, it really does.
Cool
That whole
layer.
like it looks like a base, like a level that you would be playing in GoldenEye.
Yeah, and you can hear it. I could just hear the music there, the sound now of like the silo doors opening and all that. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, that really. Now that you mention it, it's really what it feels like.
Yeah, it's just too bad the villain didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, and he's got a
like,
poison fucking.
the thing that was
garden.
what was going beyond the shooting and the Hans Zimmer music, which was really fucking good.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most logical story.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, it was such a flimsy villain. He just wears a kimono the whole time.
Yeah, and they made the mistake of the previous two movies by basically he doesn't come into play until like over an hour into the movie, like an hour and a half into the movie. It worked for Silva in Skyfall because he just takes over the movie once he appears. I know Doug disagrees. He's not a big fan of Silva.
Really?
Crazy.
I just never bought that he was like this 00 agent at any point in his life. Like, he's too eccentric. Like, there's no way he was.
I love Silva.
He never worked for MI6. There's no. I don't buy it.
But yeah, the similar inspector, like Christoph Waltz, really doesn't appear for like an hour and a half in the movie. And they kind of wasted his talents in Vector, and I'd say they wasted Rami Malek's talents in this one.
Yeah, no, they definitely did, because he could have been so much more creepy, and he just was so bland.
Yeah,
so bland.
All right. I mean, after all this time we've talked about No Time to Die over the past year and a half, anything else we want to say for now?
No, there was time to die, and he died.
He did die. Yeah. Yep. When the movie went to credits, they should have put an arrow over no.
Time to die.
All right. Let's switch things up and go into stand-up comedy, which we've only touched upon a couple times on this show. But there was a huge one on Netflix this past month, which has gotten a lot of press. 3 of us have watched it, so it makes sense to talk about it. It's Dave Chappelle's The Closer, his 6th and final Netflix special from his original deal with Netflix that he signed, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago or whatever. This is the only special that's come out since we've started Live Breathe Film, so it's the first one we're talking about. But yeah, I ultimately want to talk about if you guys thought, based on all like the press and everything like that, did you guys think as a comedy special it worked as a comedy special? Did you think it was funny enough, or do you prefer when Chappelle talks more, which he kind of did in this one, versus something like the earlier specials where it clearly is just like joke. That's where I kind of want to talk, not necessarily about everything that's going on with Netflix and Dave Chappelle and the trans community and whatnot.
Yeah. My envisionment of Dave Chappelle sketches is jokes that have threads of whatever that get tied together at the end with some sort of either sentimental story or something that makes you think. And that's usually how I envision his comedy shows ending, is he, joke, and then he really makes you think, and then he puts the microphone down and he walks off, while simultaneously making fun of literally every group of people on earth, because he does it all the time. Dave Chappelle just makes fun of everyone, and I love it.
Yeah.
But I like when he makes you think about stuff. Because, comedy can be like, aha, fart. Good night, everyone.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I like when there's a little bit of, feeling in there. That's it.
Agreed.
I thought it worked. I thought there was a good amount of jokes that had me laughing, and I thought about, I thought that last part at the end was actually rather heartfelt and kind of made you be like, oh, fuck. Well, I mean,
where he's talking about the
his friend that ends
his
up
friend
killing herself, and it's just it's sad, and you feel fucking horrible, but and like he kind of opened her up to, I guess she was a fairly terrible comedian prior to that, and he kind of showed her the way, and then things take over, and mental illness is a fucking bitch, and it'll get you even if you're doing well. I
agree with you in regards to how I like Chappelle, and it's a balance. Like, it doesn't have to be all jokes. Like, that guy can talk about anything and like just immediately engaged with what he's saying. And I do like when like he ends things with a more like talking and like more of a story that really like kind of like hits you. Um, I don't think this one necessarily hit as hard at like the very end, and like I'd say some things I just don't like. I don't necessarily agree with everything he said. I think some things were off base, but overall, like it was an entertaining watch, and I did laugh like a lot. Which is ultimately what I want the most when I'm watching something that is called stand-up comedy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I would say it worked for me more than it didn't work for me. I thought it was better than some of the other specials that he's had on Netflix, particularly the earlier ones. Or yeah, I'd say it was probably better than at least two of the other five that he's put out so far.
Were the earlier ones the ones that we saw live? Was that more
one
that
of
material?
He has done two that I have seen live. One that you saw live, and
Yeah.
that was more towards like the middle run of specials that he did. But yeah, he put out two right at the beginning, and by the time they aired, like the jokes just seemed very dated.
Sure.
Like talking about the Clippers owner and like that cook who said the cook on like Food Channel who said racist stuff. Paul Dean, was that her name?
Oh, Paul Dean, yeah.
Yeah, like someone who just didn't really, it just didn't really work anymore, just because it was so far in the past by the time he put it out.
Yeah.
But
it's like an Eminem album from the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the references just don't stick. Like it similar to like some South Park episodes.
Yeah.
Like anytime you do comedy that's based on current events, like it's gonna work better when it originally airs.
Yeah, you got to get it out.
Yeah. But yeah, now I guess I'm kind of rambling now, but ultimately I thought it was a decent special. It wasn't the best stand-up special of the year. I don't know. There really hasn't been too many. I think the only other one I could think of was Bo Burnham's, and that's so different from a normal stand-up special.
Is
Doug,
that really a stand-up special though? Because he has a lot of like rehearsed songs in it. Aren't they? Don't they have like fair like production value to it?
Yeah, it's got a lot of production to it. And I don't think it like the Grammys aren't even letting it run in
I
like
saw
the
that
comedy category.
That's weird.
Which is weird because you have Weird Al albums go under comedy categories. So like you also have straight stand-up go under comedy albums. So it seems like they just pick and choose what they want to do.
It's bullshit like the Oscars.
It really is. Like, it is bullshit. But yeah, Doug, have you? I know JP and myself, like we've seen Chappelle live. We've watched plenty of his specials. Obviously, we watched the show back in the day and everything like that. How much have you watched of when it comes to Chappelle?
I've seen a lot of like the show. I think I've seen a good amount of the specials.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I probably like this special the least of the three of us. I think it is nice when he like talks at the end and kind of does more than just comedy. It just felt like he shifted over to talking like halfway through the special. Versus like it kind of just felt like the jokes stopped, whereas I wish the jokes went on for longer before he shifted into talking. It was getting like preachy like pretty early on. And it kind of like lost me a little bit when he started to kind of get into that mode. But it was still like I was still entertained. I mean, he's an entertainer. Like I was still like, even when he's shifting to more of a preachy, insightful mode, like he's still like engaging. I just was laughing a lot less on the back half than I thought the first half was a lot funnier.
Yeah, no, you bring up one good point. Like, I think he could have had some more variety in what he was talking about in the special as a whole. I think that probably would have helped. Because anytime you like stick on something for so long, like it is easier to lose somebody.
Oh, yeah.
and that's when you also get into like all the shit that has just been surrounding this.
It's
but-
clearly what he wanted to do, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
would agree with that too. Like he did it with a purpose.
Yeah.
Like his intent was to create fucking buzz and waves, and in that measure, he absolutely succeeded.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens after like all this.
Yeah, it's like when we saw him live and fucking Neil Brennan came out. He's like, "Well, I don't like to talk about politics," and then he did a 5-minute set on politics, and I was like, "Just shut the fuck up."
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're not into like especially the particular topic that's being talked
you'll
about,
lose
like
someone instantaneously.
it's fucking yeah. It's like we were talking about how there were a couple people like towards the front. Once it gets to the second half of the show, they just look like they're fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if it's just shit you don't want to hear for a while, it's like, you know, if you have some dude just like wandering up there like farting the whole time, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm so over fart, piss, and dick jokes.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, we saw that when we went to like stand-up comedy like in high school.
God, that was horrible.
And like if you just are just nasty and gross like the entire time, like you get people just get up and walk out and like fuck this. Like it works. It is like that no matter what. Like any topic can do that to like some person.
Yeah,
so.
it works in a niche audience. Like if you're like a fucking dude with an acoustic guitar that likes singing about getting his heart broken, and you wander into like some metal bar and start fucking bleeding your heart out with an acoustic guitar, you're probably gonna get booed off the stage. And then if you release a Netflix special that touches on predominantly one subject that some people get heated about, then people are gonna get fucking pissed at you.
Yeah.
Some people are going to enjoy it and not get angry about it. Some people are going to get angry. I don't think you could have a topic under the sun right now if you did a whole comedy special on any topic on earth that people wouldn't get fucking angry about.
It'd be a incredibly hard feat to try to pull off. Yeah. I would agree with that.
And it would probably still be fucking boring because you're just talking about one thing the whole time.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. You can do a better job of just making it more of like a all around experience. That's why like Chappelle show is so good, because
exactly. So like as good as he is as a stand-up, like he was never better than when he was doing his sketch television show.
Yeah, and I can get how that can be so crushing. You know, that's why he left.
Totally.
But
yeah, and I mean he ultimately had problems with like how people were reacting to his program. So like it goes both ways.
Yeah, variety is the spice of life.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we'll get some more stand-up later this year. Because
he's got that movie he has out.
He's got that documentary. Yeah, that'll probably end up on Netflix eventually after like it does its tour, I would imagine.
It'd be interesting. I mean, they were doing comedy in a cornfield. There was a lot of people that did comedy during this pandemic in really weird areas.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Bert Kreischer did a drive-in like every weekend, I think. In Florida somewhere, and
the special he did from the cornfield last year, like it was fascinating just watching, like even before the show actually starts, like them testing everyone and them coming in, like it was just really cool to see. So I would definitely dig the documentary and seeing them all the different people coming like from around the world.
It's playing in AMC
to where he lives.
He's doing like a limited run where it's playing in a couple AMCs across the country.
Okay. Yeah, I saw he was doing like a 10-city tour also throughout the country and like airing at arenas. But yeah. All right. Let's get back to the traditional movies. Next up, we've got Halloween Kills. The however you can look at it, is this the third movie, a second movie, the 13th movie in the series? There's so many different ways to look at it at this point. The 11th, if you discount the remakes. But yeah, we've got Jamie Lee Curtis back as Laurie Strode with her daughter and granddaughter in tow, dealing with Michael Myers. Corey, what did you ultimately think of this one in comparison to David Gordon Green's 2018 one, which was the direct predecessor to this one? And again, this timeline only follows the original John Carpenter movie and then that one from 2018. Do you think it worked? Do you think it worked as a middle chapter, because it's a clear middle chapter, and ultimately did it have you hyped for the third one, or the fourth one, however you want to
weird
look
because
at
it was disappointing, but it also, I think that it worked as a middle chapter, also, but it just there wasn't enough substance. There was not really enough character development and not enough story. And not to say that like it's like, oh, the bar is set so high for Halloween movies and their character story, but the first one had a decent amount, and like, you know, this chapter had so little, and it felt like such a different type of movie compared to part one or Halloween, that it was kind of jarring. Um, but I mean, as a whole, I did enjoy it. The ending is really what was probably the most jarring for me, like the last like 10 minutes. And I know we spoke about this, but it definitely has me excited for like part three. I might end up liking it more after it's all finished,
Mm-hmm.
but that's yet to be seen. I don't know.
Yeah, this one's a weird one. I'd say I went out of it like disappointed, like thinking it was a clear step down from the last one. I still do think it's a clear step down from the last one, but I've also thought about it a lot, which I wasn't necessarily expecting to after seeing it. So in that way, I'd say it was somewhat of a success. Definitely tried some interesting things, but it was it was a clear like middle chapter and like just a all right, we need to do this movie before we get to the real good stuff in Halloween Ends next year. Um, so in that way, I'd say the movie was kind of a failure just because it didn't necessarily have too much of a point of existence. Because you're like, all right, Jamie Lee Curtis isn't gonna die. Jamie Lee Curtis fucking just stays in the hospital the entire damn movie.
She's not even really in it. Her screen time
She's
is
more of a she's like a supporting character. And frankly, I don't even think her character's been that interesting in this. Like, especially in this movie, I didn't think her character was that interesting.
No.
She just monologues and repeats the same fucking bullshit over and over again. Like I'm more interested in like in this one, I was more interested in Harkin's story, like of how he related to Michael Myers than everything else played by Will Patton. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with the next one because it's clear that when they came up with the idea to do Halloween 2018, they came up with the idea for Halloween 2018 and whatever Halloween ends up being, which is going to take place 4 years after this one that just ended.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see what their actual end game was with this series. And then, yeah, like you mentioned the ending. I thought the ending was a bit ridiculous. Like they're not going to kill Michael Myers, but like everyone just has to be as dumb as humanly possible in order for the movie to like end because they can't kill Michael Myers. And it was just like beyond. I couldn't fucking like suspend my disbelief enough for how like ridiculous it was. From the entire time of like the entire gang beating him up all the way to Laurie's daughter being up in Michael Myers' childhood bedroom, and then him coming in and psychoing her to death. It just didn't make sense. So that was my beef with the movie, I would say.
The movie actually, like, I was thinking about this. It reminded me so much of Rob Zombie's Halloween, not as because that movie's just like very different than this, but just in a way of how it was a direct sequel to, you know, the first one that Rob Zombie did, and it was definitely it felt like a middle chapter also. It felt like, you know, like a just kind of like like a gap chapter in a third, three movies that he never really was able to do. He never got to do the third movie.
Well, the second one ends conclusively. Like they both die.
Did they?
Yeah, Laurie and Michael both die in it. I didn't know how they announced the third one after the fact, but I didn't know how the fuck they were gonna do it
I
because
thought
they
that they were
killed the
gonna
two
do a third one.
leads.
I thought they were gonna
They
do a
killed
third
both
one.
of them and they killed Loomis. So like everyone was dead at the end of H2. It seemed like that was more of a clear like duology to me.
But I
Versus...
guess my point is just that both of those movies were like, it's like the creative team just kind of just went ham and went, off the rails with what they wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely way more brutal than like past entries. Like it was probably the most brutal one since the Rob Zombie movies, and before the Rob Zombie movies.
Yeah.
But
I like.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Halloween 2 in the fact that it took place immediately after the first one, and Laurie was in a hospital the entire time. But overall, like I said, I'm pumped still for the third one, really just to see how they end up doing it. And I think the third one will be better than this one. When it's all said and done, this will be the worst one of the David Gordon Green, Danny McBride Halloween movies.
It'll probably play a lot better once it's done too. I think, like, just watching like
It may. I just hope they better not go into the supernatural shit in the next one, which like I'm kind of worried they're going to, based on how like the beating that Michael Myers took in this one. Like it's.
But how else are you gonna do it though? Like the guy, there's only so far you can go with a.
Yeah, you don't fucking stab the guy and shoot him a million times, then you don't have to worry about like people thinking he's supernatural or real. That's their choice that they made. Or at least say he has a bulletproof vest on. Like, do things like that.
He's 3 kids in a jumpsuit. They just missed him.
True. Yeah, exactly. Or the one right in the middle is like dead, but the other 2 are alive and somehow
they just replace them. They're interchangeable.
Walking around.
It's like an orphanage of kids that just hate Laurie. And they're just like, next one up, hop into the jumpsuit. Let's go.
You're in. It's your time to shine.
It's like a bunch of little John Wicks.
Exactly. Yeah, I just think supernatural Michael Myers isn't nearly as interesting as just evil human being who just wants to kill people. Michael Myers.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't really work.
I like supernatural shit.
Yeah, but I like supernatural when it comes to like Jason. But yeah, with Michael Myers, I prefer that he's just an evil person. Like, there's no reason for why he does what he does other than the fact that he's just a piece of shit and who likes to kill people. Yeah. All right. How about we talk about Dune, Part 1, as the opening of the movie clearly states, and what would be a very disappointing movie if Dune Part 2 didn't come out. Because this one ends with no, like, just saying the story is so incomplete at the end of Part 1. I mean, it's similar to like a Lord of the Rings movie, but with Lord of the Rings, we knew Part 2 and 3 were coming. But this one, it was like, fingers crossed we get Part 2.
I mean, we kind of. It's so funny how this unfolded because, like, what was it? 48 hours before the movie came out, Warner Brothers, like, a representative was basically like, "Yeah, we're doing Part 2. It's happening, but not officially."
They like needed to say something so it would, like, people would hear it and like be aware of that. Like, don't, like, you can spend your money and see this because Part 2 will actually happen.
And what was it, like, Monday?
Watch HBO Max. It will happen.
Did the beginning of the movie actually say Part 1?
It did.
Oh,
yeah.
So maybe they accidentally released that cut of the movie, and they're like, "Oh fuck! I guess we got a green light. Just go! Put the press release out."
Yeah, because I was expecting it to be similar to it, and it wouldn't say Part 1 until like the end credits. Because when it like starts, it only says it at the beginning, or it might not say anything. I actually don't remember. I just know it didn't say it Chapter 1. But then like when the movie ends, it says it Chapter 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it says just it in the beginning. It does say Chapter 1 at the end of it because I remember everyone going nuts about that.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Corey?
No, I was just gonna say I remember reading that, like, I guess I don't know if it was test screenings. It was a while ago, like when they were showing the movie off to people, and people were like, "Oh my God, this is only Part 1," because like that was like always part of like the film. It was never changed. Like it was always known as Part 1 internally.
Got it.
Well, that also too, like, I know a lot of people were surprised. Like, and we talked about this a little bit, but it, like, there was a conclusion. The story feels like it was kids. That's great. And then they're like, Part 2 is coming, or this is only just Part 1. You're like, oh shit, there's more. But if like you don't give audiences a warning that Dune Part 1, and I think even with the audience getting the warning that this is Dune Part 1, like you're watching this movie and you're building up to like something, and then it's just like credits.
Yeah, because not everyone is as aware. I mean, most people are not as aware as we are when it comes to like what we're getting into when we see a movie. Most people probably just thought this was a one and done movie, and like they were gonna get a satisfying beginning, middle, and end, and then they get to the end and they'd be like, "What the fuck?" Like, how did
I kind of got this? I mean, I don't know what your opinion was, Murph, but like I kind of got the sense that at the end of Dune was just kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I got that as well. Yeah.
Like it seemed like a lot of people weren't expecting that to just like end out of nowhere.
Yep.
Which was a reasonable expectation for them to have.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
The movie.
I was expecting it to end similarly, only because I just reread the books, so like I kind of had an idea of like where they probably were gonna end it, you know. So it was there was no way that it was gonna be a finished part 1, like tied up in a bow. Just not possible. The way that story is.
Doug, as someone who didn't read the book, how did you think they did at fleshing out like their universe characters, getting you invested in the story? And are you excited to continue in this universe for part 2?
I thought the characters and story were interesting, but I kind of felt like I want to read the book or at least understand some more of the backstory, because I guess there were a lot of like little details that if you read the book, you're like, oh yeah, I know like all the context behind X, Y, and like I didn't get any of that. Like there's a lot of stuff I read about like, the story of Dune, and I was like, really, that's what was going on in this? Like I just like there's a lot of that book, I guess, must be very dense because it seems like there's a lot of detail, and I just watching the movie, you get like a very surface level. Like they can't go into the level of detail that the book goes into.
It's not like George R. Martin dense. It is dense, but it reads a lot better than his stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there is
they
leave out a lot.
Yeah, there was just a lot of stuff where I was like, oh, I don't know, hearing like Villeneuve talk and hearing like different things, you like there's that character that they rely on to do math, and like the reason for that is because like the whole AI war thing, like they don't use AI anymore, so they have like human calculators basically. But like from my perspective, and for like someone that's never seen the movie, you're just, that's weird that there's this guy that like looks funny and does math really well.
Totally.
And so like stuff like that is just kind of weird.
Those characters are super interesting, like, but I guess they knew how long the movie needed to be, and there really wasn't, they didn't have the luxury to really talk about those characters or like what those people do and like their background. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what makes me like the more I find that out, the more I like wonder if this should have been a show.
Or like at least in a 3-hour movie instead of a 2.5-hour movie. Yeah. Like you can get a lot more accomplished with an extra half an hour. And I'm wondering, like, are we going to get an extended edition, like similar to like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, like the Hobbit trilogy?
I think Denise said that.
Where it ends up being a whole hour longer for part 1.
I think the director said like no, like that there isn't a longer version of the movie, which I was like shocked about. That like he made it seem like he knew exactly the type of movie that he wanted to make for on exactly where he wanted to end it.
Yeah, so it sounds like he's telling the story that he thinks is most interesting and essential.
Yeah.
To Dune.
Exactly.
But yeah, as for my thoughts, like I'm definitely gonna watch part 2. I thought it like overall like it worked well outside of like just sort of. I guess now that I know that there's a part 2, I'm fine with the ending. When we saw it in theaters, I was like, yeah, I don't necessarily think this was the best place to stop the movie, but like it didn't end on some epic battle like 2 towers or something like that. It ended on a like there was a fight scene, like a fist fight or a knife fight, and the movie like ends. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I'm gonna watch it again on HBO Max and see if I pick up more things. I'm hoping I do. But yeah, I thought the acting was solid. Oscar Isaac I thought was really good. Jason Momoa was very charismatic. Some of the best work I've seen him do, like that in Aquaman probably. Chalamet was engaging enough as a lead. Like I'm interested to learn more about Paul and what exactly like is going on with his visions and with his mom and like how everything ties together. Rebecca Ferguson I thought was very strong. Stellan Skarsgård, cool bad guy. I'm interested to see who they cast as the Emperor that they keep talking about throughout the film. But yeah, overall, I wouldn't say necessarily. Josh Brolin seemed a little wasted. He sort of like disappeared out of the movie out of nowhere. Batista was okay. Like I didn't think he had too much to do. Maybe I'll change my mind about him watching it again. But yeah, overall, it was an interesting sci-fi movie. I'm interested in the universe and what exactly is going on.
The score was great, by the way.
I didn't necessarily think the score was that good. Like I said, one of the first things I said to Doug after the movie was, Ludwig. Like, I thought Ludwig's score for Tenet was better than Hans Zimmer's score for Dune because Hans Zimmer was supposed to do Tenet and then passed on it because of Dune. Doug brought up how the score reminded him at times of the Wonder Woman score.
They got the woman back to do the Amazonians.
Once he said that, I was like, oh shit, yeah, it really did. Like he repurposes too much of his like stuff. And if you go back into his like throughout his career, it's a common problem in my opinion, compared to someone like John Williams who like comes up with like completely like original sounding stuff for the most part. Minus the fact that a lot of the things just sound epic in scope, based on the story. Any other thoughts on Dune, guys? JP, you gonna watch this one?
Yeah, we were supposed to sit down and watch it, but kind of I think interest has waned a little bit. I heard Zendaya's only in it for like 6 minutes, right?
Yeah. So she's in so much of the marketing and press, but not so much of the movie.
Yeah, my interest went a little up there after that, but yeah, I don't know. We'll make it over to there at some point, but I'm not like.
Well, you have HBO Max, right?
Yeah.
You can just watch it on that if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's the point. We're not going to go see it in theaters.
Yeah,
for sure.
Not supporting Doug.
Not supporting Doug. I'm boycotting all of Doug's movies. No, there's a lot coming out this week, and
yeah,
I have to go.
What was the Villeneuve quote? It's like watching, or it's like trying to drive a speedboat in a bathtub or something. Trying to watch it on HBO Max.
I don't know.
Are you saying that,
like he's the new Christopher Nolan?
Yeah. Doug, are you saying that your home video setup's not good enough to watch movies on? Is that what you're saying? That your 4K TV and surround sound is it's okay. It's like a rowboat.
Yeah, the director is saying that you gotta go watch it in theaters like as many times as possible.
He said you can't watch it on your Shrek TV or any other goofy device, Game Boy Advance or some shit.
Yeah, someone's gonna watch it on like fucking TI-89 calculator. I got a busy weekend. I got to go stand outside the Alamo Draft House with my clapboard sign that says "Do not go see Eternals" or Dune or what other movies does Doug have? Let me see. It's a big sign. I have
Ghostbusters.
You're not
Ghostbusters.
JP. You're not going to be able to see Ghostbusters now.
Yeah, that's true. I might have to buy it under an assumed
I don't think you're
name.
necessarily the most upset person in the world that you can't see Ghostbusters,
dude. I fucking I was sitting there yesterday at the bar because we left the Alamo. We sat at the bar. I said, I can't get away from the idea that I have to go see Ghostbusters. Like every trailer that this thing puts out looks like shit, and I hate it. But I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah,
because I'm a goon. I think that's what it comes down to.
At least you're self-aware.
Yeah. I'm just gonna wear a big sign that says "Goon" on it when I go in there and watch a bunch of 7-year-olds save the world. Can't wait.
Oh man, that's gonna be interesting. Tickets went on sale for it today, so Yeah. We'll see in a few weeks how it is.
Maybe I'll buy that pass, and then I'll feel less guilty because I'm not actively giving them my money.
True. Sony will profit, but
yeah,
not directly via your. You're not handing over like $12 specifically for Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Dude, it was only.
It counts though as a ticket for me though, right?
Yes, it does. You're ultimately winning, Doug.
It was like $9.45 to go at noon on a Sunday. That was quite nice.
That's a good price.
Yeah.
Good shit.
That felt good.
All right. We've got 2 movies left to discuss. Let's go into the biggest bomb of the year, The Last Duel.
Are you guys gonna have a spoiler discussion of these two?
No, definitely not gonna spoil The Last Duel.
Yeah, no.
Yes, thank you. I do want to watch that eventually.
Because I want to watch both of these movies.
Last night in Soho, we can talk primarily spoiler free since it only just came out. If we get into spoilers for the very end of that conversation, we'll let you know.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'll just jump off if you guys want to talk spoilers.
Cool. And then after that, I'll be announcing the next movie in the Liberty Film Club. So I know you don't want to miss that, Doug. It's very important. But all right, The Last Duel. First off, I'm going to say it was probably the best movie I saw in theaters this year. So it's a fucking bummer that this movie did really bad.
Yeah, I agree with Murph.
Like, it's a movie for adults, with fucking A-list actors, with a really cool plot, very cool story structure, the way it's done. It's told from 3 different perspectives, so you're seeing scenes repeated from other person's perspectives. You're seeing each character's, like, the way they, like, tell the story. Which I thought was very neat. The ending battle scene, like the actual duel, the last duel ever to happen, was an awesome fight scene. Like, reminded me of Gladiator and like the Ridley Scott, like, old school action movies that he's done. Affleck was fucking hilarious in it. He was really enjoyable to watch. Matt Damon was super prick. I did not enjoy watching him at all throughout the movie. And Jodie Comer, like, ultimately, like, carried the fucking, like, thing. Like, if she was not in it, and you didn't get her perspective, like, she's kind of like an enigma for the first 2/3 of the movie. It's really interesting once you see everything, like, from her view, because it's just so different from Adam Driver and Matt Damon's lives. Corey?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on all that. The one thing that I wanted to point out also was just how well the movie was shot. Like, that was one thing, like, that just kept blowing me away. And I mean, Ridley Scott shoots beautiful movies. You know, his movies are shot in a way where you're always like that. But this one specifically, like, I maybe it's because we haven't seen, like, this type of medieval film in a very long time. But it just, like, that aspect of it, you know, how it was shot and how it was edited was it was definitely uncomfortable at first and, like, jarring, but overall, you know, really unique.
Yeah, and I understand why the movie didn't perform. I mean, it's very touchy subjects.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's not advertised as like a fun movie. Yeah, like, surprisingly, it has some, like, really funny stuff in it. Like I said, Ben Affleck's character is essentially like comic relief. Like, everything he does is, like, ridiculous. And then, like, the 3 main performances are all very strong. And the way that it's interesting, the way they did it, because, like, the movie gets better as it goes along, because it kind of starts from the perspective of the most boring character in the entire movie, which is Matt Damon's character. And then, like, it moves on to Adam Driver's perspective, which is more, it's better because of the characters he interacts with based on his status, like, in the film. So, like, that's when Ben Affleck's in the movie for, like, the majority of the time, because he oversees both Adam Driver and Matt Damon's character. And then when you get to Jodie Comer's, I mean, that's when you're seeing everything, how it actually happens, and bringing you into the duel. So, like, you're only gonna be more, like, interested as the movie goes along. And for something that shows scenes in different points of view, like it surprisingly isn't boring seeing them something a second or third time, just because of the way they tell it. So between the movie and the new trailer for House of Gucci, I'm super pumped about Ridley Scott's year. Really looking forward to House of Gucci now, and seeing what he does with Adam Driver again.
Yeah, I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, as far as when it's going to end up on VOD, I'm not exactly sure. Based on how much it made, it wouldn't shock me if it's on there in like the next week or so. I know Last Night in Soho, the next movie that we're talking about, probably will only be 18 days. So it should be on there 2 weeks from today. Or maybe 21 days. I'm not exactly sure. No, 18. But yeah, anything else about The Last Duel, or should we get into Last Night in Soho?
No, I think that's as much as I would want to talk about at this point. We could revisit it.
All right.
Once everyone sees it.
So yeah, Last Night in Soho. Corey, JP, and myself have seen it. Very fresh. We all saw it yesterday. So yeah, let's try to go spoiler free in regards to it. And then if there is anything that we want to talk about with spoilers, we could do so after giving Doug and the audience a heads up, since it only just came out. Or we can strictly talk about spoilers after Doug has seen it, because it's very possible he could see it in like 2 weeks via VOD. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll give him. Got it. We'll save that for the. Yeah. Got it. We'll save that for the end then. All right, let's talk about what you liked. How did you think it fell in Edgar Wright's filmography in comparison to the other films? Did you like its style, the performances, the tone, everything like that? Very cool. Yeah.
Oh,
we do?
yeah. My mic was muted. I think we can hear. Like, we're all frozen except for Murph. So that's fun. And we're all frozen in kind of snarky ways too.
Oh wow, yeah, we are.
It's pretty lovely. I don't know how to fix that.
These comments should be interesting.
Yeah. Good times. But I guess if we want to pick back up, like, it's beautifully shot, right? You have those transitions. The dance scene is really the one that I'm talking about. When there's like,
Okay.
now Murph's frozen too. This is solid. Like they're doing the moves, they're spinning around. You think, oh, they're gonna switch between the two, and then they don't, and then it's like a more difficult cut, I guess, and then they switch. It was just awesome, and the stuff with the mirrors, and it was neat. It was definitely very, very neat.
And check out the YouTube comments when you get a chance.
Oh my god,
it's like a cesspool.
Oh my lord, I haven't even been on. Oh dude, I haven't even been on YouTube. Shit.
Oh boy,
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I would say the cutting of like the film, really cool. I think the film is gonna, just like all his other movies, it's gonna work a lot, like even better on repeat viewings, and we're gonna catch so much more. That's why it's tough, like talking about his movies after you've only seen him once, because he's the type of director that puts so much effort into like every like frame of the film, that until you know how the movie's going down, you're not going to be able to catch things earlier in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. Honestly, though, I think that's where the tightness of an Edgar Wright movie ends in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think it's a very tight movie. I don't think it's a very super like it's well written, but I don't think it's as well written as the other movies that he has.
I would agree with that. I don't think he writes any better than what he does with Simon Pegg, which I think I said in our group chat this weekend, or maybe I just said it or someone else. I'm not sure. But yeah, I definitely. Well, Scott Pilgrim, he did a really good job with making everything feel super tight. But yeah, the movie was probably a little long for the story that they had. Yeah. I wouldn't say there was too much plot in regards to like what was going on back in the 1960s, when like the time, like when she goes back to and like seeing what's going on back then. You probably could have just done it in like one flashback, versus going back as many times as they did. When it did ultimately get like a little like more like supernatural and stuff like that, I thought the way they presented it was interesting.
Yep.
With and visually exciting to look at. As for the performances, Thomas and Mackenzie was, I would say, the standout of everyone in the film, the main character. Anya Taylor-Joy didn't have nearly as much as you would expect based on everything. Like, she's very much a supporting character, along with Matt Smith. Really, I mean, other than Thomas and Mackenzie's really like, she just like ultimately has to carry the film for the most part.
I didn't think she did. I thought it was just all average performances, or I didn't think she was anything super special, but I think they all worked well together.
Okay.
I didn't come out of here thinking like, oh, someone fucking blew it away with that. Thomas and Mackenzie speaks in cursive, is what my wife says.
He has a very interesting dialect.
All her words are connected together, and she has just this voice where I guess she filled in the kind of simpleton country person role well. It felt a little too childish, I guess.
She sounds like a child. Like
okay.
And I don't know if in that one it was more intentional because of like the plot of that movie. I didn't notice it as much in Jojo Rabbit that she talked like like the way she does in this and Old. But yeah, it's an interesting way of like speaking. Like it's like she's forcing out words.
Yes, yeah, it feels a little labored. Yeah, but I thought everyone just did good, and I thought it was perfect for the thing. Like, I have no complaints about acting in this movie because I think everyone just did a good job. But I didn't think anyone like blew it away, in my personal opinion.
Got it. Where would you put it among all his films, so like based on one viewing?
That's a good question.
I think I might have liked it more than Baby Driver, but not anything else.
Yeah, I'm with Corey. It's
maybe
at the bottom there with Baby Driver somewhere interchangeably. It's a completely different movie.
Yeah.
He did a great job capturing that campy 60s, 70s horror weirdness. But other than that, I had some gripes with the movie. I felt the pacing was really fucked. There were some parts where it got really good, and there were some parts where I just kind of sat and like, why are we doing this? Like, what's the fucking point of this stretch? And then the time is weird because you feel like, I don't know, there's that one montage scene where I feel like it only ends up being one night. And that's weird. And like some of the relationships in the movie I felt were a little weird and forced, and I don't know.
I know what you're talking about.
It was a little odd. But I thought the scary bits were good. I thought it was an interesting way to make horror.
For sure.
But then there's like the ending was really good, and then it suddenly wasn't. I had some gripes with that. They had it in a neat little bow, and then they just like.
Do we have any other spoiler-free thoughts, or do we want to go into the spoiler discussion for a couple minutes, and then we'll wrap things up after that?
Music was fucking wonderful.
Oh yeah, I like the soundtrack a lot. It had more songs I knew than I was expecting because I didn't know a lot in Baby Driver, and like that was such a like music infused soundtrack. So I was expecting them to be more like deep cuts, but I was surprised. Like I was like, oh, actually no, like a lot of these songs.
Yeah.
One last call for me is obviously the movie, because it's Edgar Wright, like the editing is very stylized and like just the overall look of it was very stylized, and I liked how he used those strengths of his to get you with certain scares, like the way that the editing was and whatnot. There were a bunch of times where there were some pretty good like horror-esque moments.
Oh yeah.
That were executed because of his stylized editing and stuff. So that was definitely a big strong point for me.
Yeah. The lighting was great too. That flashing sign in the bedroom, they did a lot.
Yeah.
With that. And
it felt like a his version of like what a Hitchcock movie would be.
Yeah.
Like a Hitchcock like thriller horror.
It's a compelling story, for sure. It just had a little bit of, I don't know. It was a little mucky.
Stick the landing.
It also had the anticipation that we've been waiting for this film for the past 15, 16 months or whatever, when it was actually supposed to come out 17 months ago.
Yeah, there's a lot of that happening, and it's worse.
It's hard to live up. It's hard to live up when you've been waiting. Like, we know something should have came out such a long time ago.
Yeah.
So we've only been thinking about it for that much longer.
There's so much stuff coming out too that might really ruin it all.
Yeah, over the next 6 months, really.
Looking at you, Batman.
That was the one I was thinking of as well. All right, Doug, you want to give us a couple minutes just to talk about that, and then we'll wrap things up. Talk spoilers.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll text you the movie.
Okay.
Go to sleep.
That works.
Later.
Bye, Doug.
Bye, Doug. All right. So everyone in the audience, spoilers. This is going to spoil the ending of the movie.
Spoiler of the movie.
I mean,
spoil the movie.
Give you 5 seconds. 5.
That's fair.
4, 3, 2. Snape kills Dumbledore. 1. The twist is wonderful. The twist is fucking wonderful. That the whole time, the guy she thought was Matt Smith isn't Matt Smith. He was really the cop, which was sort of inserted in there and a little weird, but
yeah.
But that Sandy was actually the one killing people. And you get that twist where she's kind of being drugged and she's going to be killed. She's going to kill her boyfriend.
Yeah, you think she's... Yeah.
But then they sympathize her. And, like, I get that she lived a horrible life. But I can't feel sympathy for someone that killed, like, 17 people.
Yeah, she was like a fucking, like a Jack the Ripper fucking, like, just going to town on fucking all the men in Soho.
And she's... What, like all the bodies were in the walls and the floors,
and the floors and the walls and all of that, and that's just fucked. And then she stabs her boyfriend and then tries to kill her. And then she's just like, no, I love you. And at the end, she taps the mirror and they're like best friends. No, that's not how that works. I liked when all the ghosts were grabbing her and then they were like, save her or kill her for us or whatever. And she said, no, that's fine. But do kill her because she's a fucking asshole too.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's okay. Like, yeah, you guys are monsters too.
Yeah.
But, like, ultimately, you still have to take down the person who's trying to kill you and your, like, love interest.
Yeah.
It was hard to sympathize with that. I do agree.
I think she was just so into, like the nostalgia of that era and, like, being that other character that, like, there were still parts of her that were just couldn't think rationally.
Yeah, and she felt all the things that she felt and experienced them. And I get it, it's fucking horrible. Like, she lived a terrible life.
Yeah.
But she's like a fucking massive serial killer.
Yeah, and she also chose to live that life.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get to just walk away from that. because
Mhm.
someone else with weird schizophrenic empathy, ghost seeing powers
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
They should have played on that more too.
I
that
still
she
don't
was-
understand how she had those powers.
Yeah. And I don't understand
if
how
it-
the things worked either. Because
Yeah.
sometimes she was sitting in the audience, sometimes she was in the body of Sandy.
Uh-huh.
And they also missed a huge opportunity. That first scene where she comes back and she's got the hickey on her neck. You should have played that angle up so much where, like, Matt Smith grabs her and she wakes
Yeah, she's
up
coming back with bruises.
and like maybe Sandy develops like a drug habit and
Yeah, or
she
Sandy
wakes
tries
up.
to like cut herself, and
Yeah.
then like they think she's crazy in real life and trying to kill herself.
You could have done
Um,
so much more with that, and that was
Yeah, the drug habit would be interesting too. Like she has fucking track marks on her arm and
yeah, and she like wakes up and she's sort of
wakes up high.
or
Like
something.
yeah, exactly. That would have been interesting. That would have been very cool, actually.
Yeah. So they missed the mark there for me. And they definitely had time to explore that because the relationship between her and I forget his name. What was the love interest's name?
I'm not sure what his name was, but
Did he have a name?
Jack.
Was
His
it
name
Jack?
was Matt Smith?
No.
Matt Smith's character?
the black guy
yeah,
that was her classmate.
I feel like his name wasn't his name John or like.
Let's call him
something like
John.
that?
So
Sure.
yeah, like John and her had a really weird relationship that just sort of seemed to like, I guess, continue
Come out of
happening
nowhere.
off screen.
Yeah, because it was they didn't share much screen time,
No.
and he was very worried about her, like based on very limited interaction.
Yeah. Also, he got stabbed in the stomach and then just was like chilling with her at the thing. That'd be like that's red flag number one.
His name is John. By
His
the
name
way.
is John. Well done.
Oh.
In the character. Yeah.
Well done. Who the fuck gets bullied in college? Like that? No one.
I thought there was gonna be a payoff to that, but
Yeah.
there never was.
No, it's just that
Jocasta, the
Jocasta
worst.
sucked.
The worst roommate ever.
And I didn't understand, like, did her mom's death, like, how much of that had it, like, affected,
Did she
like,
see ghosts?
played a part into the story? Yeah, like, was it passed down from, like, her, and that's why she was, like, had mental illness? Because she was seeing things as,
That's what I got.
like, a fucking Haley Joel Osment type of situation?
It seemed like it'd be cool to, like, know the circumstances in which her mother lost her mind and did that, because maybe it was something similar.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even just Jocasta with the bullying too. It's like that random guy that pulled her headphones off and go, "What do you listen to?" Like granny music, and then he wandered. Like, no one does that.
Yeah, that's school.
Maybe things are very different over in London.
Maybe that's like 8th grade bullying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like maybe halfway through, I was like, God, this school is terrible. I would never want to go to this school.
Well, the teacher was pretty solid. Teacher was like, "I'll stay positive, you crazy bastard." I thought she was 100% going to stab someone with those scissors.
Yeah.
I thought someone was going to
Better
die.
I thought she was going to kill someone and then, like, maybe, or stab someone, maybe not kill them, and then end up in jail.
Yeah.
Or something.
I thought her whole life was going to be ruined. I thought that was going to be the end of the movie. That scene was wonderful, where she's on like the microfleesh, and the guy John leaves, and then she thinks he's coming back, but it's all those like creepy blurred face ghosts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that, and then just all the intrusions on reality were really, really cool. Where she like opened a door and Matt Smith was like, "I look like Frankenstein."
Yeah.
One call out for me, like just performance or scene really, was the last scene with Terrence Stamps, the older version of him in the bar in the Toucan with her when she's confronting him like downstairs. That was such a good scene. And then when he like storms off out of the bar.
Yeah, like comes across as so fucking creepy, and he does himself no favors in that conversation.
And what's amazing, like if you go back and think about it, like, you know, that entire scene before knowing exactly who he is, you think that he's the murderer. And like now when you go back and watch it, like all the information was there. Like it was all right in front of you that, you know, he wasn't that character. He was just, he saw it going on.
Well, it was and it wasn't, because the character that he is was just sort of like inserted in that weird montage of people being like, "Oh, what's your name? Oh, it's a beautiful name."
Mm-hmm.
And then
yeah.
he's like, "I can save you," and she's like, "Nah, I'm good." And he, I guess, harbors resent towards her. The idea is, I think he kind of knew what she did, but couldn't prove it by any means. That's kind of after the fact when I was thinking about it, and that's why he was kind of so indifferent towards her, and you know, she's living in hell, and that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah, like I think we're gonna note like those conversations will play differently on a second watch.
Yeah,
with knowing the information we know now.
I'm concerned that there's not that much there in this movie, like a typical
more style than substance.
Yeah, more style than substance, and that's fine. I mean, you can go for a stylish movie; it looked pretty. I'll probably watch it again just on style.
Just alone. Yeah, exactly.
But that ending scene where she's sitting there with Sandy in the seating room, that got really creepy, and that felt like a true horror movie.
Yeah,
it was very unsettling.
Very unsettling. I thought she was gonna die. I really did. I honestly didn't think there was any way that she was getting out. Like Ellie was gonna get out of this movie.
I don't know how she did survive though. She drank, it was like poison, wasn't it?
I think it was like,
and then she was all of a sudden okay.
It did not look like she drank very much of it.
No, and I think she was just gonna put her to sleep and then gas her
kill her
or something.
Okay.
Or like cut her wrists or something. Because she said she was
she's gonna go to sleep. Like it's gonna be like won't hurt or whatever.
Yeah, she said she was gonna make it look like she killed herself because everyone already thinks she's a lunatic.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think overall it was good. Just that ending part where they like try and sympathize the mass murderer was like, that's a bit of a stretch for me.
Totally. All right. Well, I guess that's it then.
Yeah.
We've talked about all these movies and TV shows, which was fun.
Yeah.
This
guy's back in our YouTube chat.
Oh, he's back being a pervert.
Yep, saying horrible things. I keep reporting them for horrible things. Get out of our chat.
Oh, I should note a Twitch comment that Derek had. He said in Zombies H2, Laurie survived the theatrical cut. In the director's cut ending, that's where Laurie also dies.
Oh, okay.
So I think Michael just dies in the theatrical one. Yes, Michael just dies in the theatrical one. They both die in the director's cut. And Loomis dies in both of them, I believe. And then, in the director's cut, Michael talks. So that's stupid.
Oh, that's horrible.
If it was in theaters, people probably would have rioted.
And now he gets to do Munsters, and we get to see what Rob Zombie Munsters is going to be like.
Yeah, that should be very interesting. All right, but yeah, that's all we got. So thank you for listening. So what we're gonna do on our next episode, well, before we get to that, we'll talk about the next Live Breathe Film Club movie. So what we did on, I guess it was our last episode, like a month ago, was we did another trivia contest. I ended up being the winner of that one versus JP in the finals. We decided that to select the movie, the movie I'm selecting, it had to be from Kate's list of movies that she submitted for our yearly film series over the course of this past year. So movies were submitted basically every year for at least 20 years. And yeah, I had that to choose from. So going with one that I'm pretty sure none of us have watched. And it's something that we're going to be discussing later on in November. So yeah, this movie's available on Showtime or Showtime Anytime. I'll make sure all of us will be able to watch it for free. It is one that had 91 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's from A24, and we are doing this movie in honor of the 7-1 Green Bay Packers. So it stars, there you go. This movie stars Shailene Woodley and Miles Teller. It is not. It is not Divergent. It is The Spectacular Now. So it came out in 2013. This was on Kate's list. It's got the two of them: Brie Larson, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Bob Odenkirk, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Kyle Chandler.
Coach.
Yep, Coach Taylor. Premiered at the 2013 Sundance Film Festival. Came out in theaters later that year. Received 2 nominations at the Indie Spirit Awards, Best Female Lead and Best Screenplay. So hopefully we ultimately enjoy this one better than the first one I selected, Bottle Rocket. But from what I understand, the movie's about 2 high schoolers whose unexpected encounter follows a romance blossoming between the two. Based on its rating, and the A24 put it out, and then it was at Sundance. I'm guessing it's not a typical type of high school love story. So we'll see. We'll talk about this one later on in November. Not our next episode, probably our one after that. And like I said, you can watch it on Showtime or Showtime Anytime, which is their I don't know why they have 2 different streaming platforms.
Yeah,
similar, I guess it's similar to HBO Max and HBO. But yeah.
Yeah, watch it along. Watch it and come discuss it with us. Come and chat, talk about it. Tell us what you like, didn't like.
Yeah, at the very least, Kate will talk about it with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, as for our next episode, what we're going to be doing is drafting our MCU super teams and discuss Eternals, since that opens in theaters this Friday. I'm trying to think of a way to make it more fun than ones that we've done in the past. Maybe we'll try to do like the funniest group of MCU super teams. Like, it doesn't have to be like just come up with the strongest team or the team that would work together, but like just the most ridiculous team that we could think of based on characters in the MCU. Kind of have some more fun with it.
Sure.
But yeah, other than that, I think we are good. So as always, this has been Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph at Live Breathe Film. We'll see you again next time, movie lovers. Thanks for watching.
Take care.